Natsa, wapastim tsikasun. Hello, my name's White Horse, and today I'm going to be talking and showing how to collect mihuapima or red willow. Because with mihuapima or red willow, it's very important to Nihiawak, to Cree peoples, because it's used for many different things, for medicine, for tobacco, for through making kinnikinnick out of the bark to use in pipes. But more than that, we're taught as Cree peoples that all kahkiao nipsi, all willows are very special because we're taught that at the beginning of time, before two-leggeds walked this earth, the plants were all of the everything in nature was given a job and asked to step forward to help out two-leggeds when they did arrive on this earth. So when Simantu, our creator, was making about to make the two-leggeds, he had asked of all of the plants and animals to come forward and just sort of agree to take on a job for the two-leggeds to help them to survive on this land. And with Kakeo Nipsi, with all of our willows, they stepped forward and said that they'll help the people by taking away all of the bad things away from them, by taking away bad thoughts, bad spirits, bad energy, by clearing away all of that uh, for Kakeo Nihiawak, or all Cree peoples. So with the willows, especially with Mihuahpimak, or the red willow, it was very special because it not only has a lot of different medicines in it, but uh, it stands out amongst Kahkiao Nipsi, or stands out amongst all willows because of course it's red, it's bright red, and it shows itself to be a little bit more special and have more of that uh, healing strength in it, that strength that takes away all bad thoughts, all darkness, all bad energy, bad spirits, and all of that bad stuff. So with Bihuapimak, or red willow, we keep it in high regard. Now, traditionally, uh, pre-contact with Nihilak or Cree peoples, when we'd go to the lodge and stuff, you see contemporary nowadays where when we go into a sweat lodge or into a pipe ceremony or any ceremonies, when we're entering those ceremonies or requesting those ceremonies, you see most people, they take the 1 meter by 1 meter cloth prints of different colors as their offering, or what we call in our grandmother's tongue, we call it sorry, uh, what we call that in our grandmother's tongue is Wepinason, or the offering, or the sort of sacrifice that we're putting in. And that's what right now in contemporary times, the Wepinason has become those 1 meter by 1 meter prints of different colors. So we take our cloths, our Wepinason, into the sweat lodge along with our sistema or our tobacco, and that's what we use as protocol to either ask for a lodge, ask for healing, ask for medicines. That's the protocol that we offer right now in the form of those Wepinason with those colored prints. However, pre-contact, of course, we didn't have those prints with us, or we didn't have them available. So traditionally, pre-contact, what Nihilak used was uh, Mihuapimak, or the red willow, and we would make red willow sort of red willow ties with them, of again using the certain colors as our Wepinason. So I'm going to be showing you how to make pre-contact Wepinason using the 7 red willow tie, because this is what we traditionally used. And a lot of our elders are saying in order to fully reclaim our traditional practices, we need to do it in its totality. That means we need to completely do it. And that means letting go of those post contact practices like using the the cotton prints as our Wepinason and going back to our traditional ways. So I'm going to be showing you how we'd make those traditional red willow Wepinason, or those offerings. So with the red willow, of course, the easiest way to find it is the bright red color that it has on it. Another way is not all the red willow, but only certain red willows do have these white berries on them. Another way, if you're not too sure whether it's red willow or not, uh, it will have these little white berries on them. But of course, you see the bright red color of the mihuapimac, or the red willow. So that's one of the easiest ways. So when I'm preparing to make my 7 willow tie, my protocol or my Wepinason offering, of course, if I'm taking anything from the bush, I always have to do my honoring of the plants, the spirit of the plant. So in this case, the spirit of mihuapimac, and give thanks for anything I'm taking from the bush. So I've got my sistema here, my tobacco, and I'm going to give my offering to this plant. Uh, the way to give the offering is, of course, with anything, I was always taught 1 pipeful. So that's just a pinch that would fit in one of our sacred pipes. And that's how much tobacco or sistema I would offer to anything I'm taking from the bush or taking from Mother Nature. So what I'll do is I'll say my prayer of thanks to Creator, and thanks to my ancestors, and thanks especially to the plant that I'm taking for my use. So I give thanks through prayer for what I'm taking. When I'm done giving my prayer, I put it at the base of the plant that I'm taking, or if it's a root, I put it where that root came from. In this case, I'm just going to be taking parts of the stems. So I'm still going to put it down at its root. But when I give my offering, of course, I show my spirit. As Cree people, we believe the first place to enter this earth is the top or the crown of our head. So that's where our spirit resides. So I show my spirit to the plant and to Creator, and I hold the plant so that it knows that I'm giving my offering to the plant. Then I give thanks through the 4 directions with my sistema and to the plant. So I'm going to say my prayer in my grandmother's tongue, and then I'll say it in English so you'll know what I'm saying. Hao simantu, kananaskumtin, hawa maskihi. Hao musumnanak nukumnanak tapananak, kananaskumtin, hawa kakyaw, hao magiwan. Hao mihuapimak, kananaskumtin, hawa maskihi. Hao kananaskumtin simantu kakyaw maskihi. Hao kananaskumtin simantu kakyaw pimatsun. How, Creator, I give thanks for this medicine. Grandmothers, grandfathers, great grandparents, I give thanks for all of the teachings. Red Willow, I give thanks for this medicine you're giving to me. I give thanks for all of the medicines that were given. I give thanks with all my heart. I give thanks to you, Creator. Hey, hey. Then I put my tobacco near the stem. So now that I've given my protocol to the plant that I'm taking, I'm I'm given the permission to take what I need for my uses now. So with Mihuahpimac, or the red willow, I'm just going to be needing the stem parts of it, and it doesn't matter, but I want the really reddish colors, because you'll see near the bottom It's not really reddish, but it is. It's still the red willow. However, it doesn't look the reddish color. So I want the reddish ones for making my offering, my 7 willow offering, or my Wepinason. And I don't really want really crooked pieces, but I'm gonna try and use everything that I take. So with this, I'm just gonna cut one of them just so I could show you a little better. And with what I brought with me is a good culinary scissors, of course, my tobacco, and muhuman or a knife, just in case I need the knife. But you see, a little clearer here, my my red willow, clearly red. Now we've got to be careful with red willow because, or any plant we're taking from the bush, because with every single plant, it has a twin, and we need to be able to. Have to have the knowledge to be able to distinguish between the plant twins. Because with this plant, with Mihuahpimac or the red willow, its twin we know as dogwood. Because with dogwood, it's also got a bright red branches on it. So it's really easy, and a lot of people mistake dogwood for red willow. Easiest way to tell is, of course, go for the red willow with the white berries on it. That's your easiest indicator. If you're still not sure, the way to tell the difference is with dogwood, it's actually hollow in the middle of the stem. So right in the middle, it's hollow. With red willow, there's no hollowness at all. It's clear all the way through. So it's a solid willow. There's no hollowed out center. But with dogwood, it does have a hollowed out, sort of spongy center. So that's the another way you can identify the red willow. So of course I'm only needing the stems. So the smaller pieces and the berry bearing branches, I'm going to put back here, because normally what will happen is, of course, these berries will drop off, and I want to make sure that these berries are going to where they normally land so that they continue to grow the next generation of red willow. So you see, I've just got the one all cleared. I've taken all the branches off, and I'm going to take a few of these because in order to make my Wepinason, I'm going to need a fair little bit of this. So I'm going to take, again, the reddest parts and the more or less straight parts, because if I use the straight parts, it's going to be easier for me in making my Wepinason or my protocol offerings. And again, I'm just cutting off the leaves just so I save that bark from being stripped of it. Because again, it's the red willow that makes it unique. It's that red color, so I want to make sure that shows in my Wepinason or my protocol offering. So I don't want them too small, but I don't want them too big either, because they're going to be hard to cut and a little bulkier. So about the size of a pencil is about the perfect size. Anything larger and you're going to have a difficult time, and it'll be bulkier to use. And once they do start getting bigger like that, they start to grow and bend sideways, a little harder to use. So I've nearly got enough here for what I need to do. And I don't want to go too small either because they tend to get brittle and a little too bendy. All right, so a lot of the smaller secondary branches I can just tear off, but it's easier and quicker to give them a quick snip with your scissors. So now I think I've got enough to show you the next step in making our Wepinason. So I'm going to take these now, take them home, and we'll go on to the next step on making our Wepinason. So we've gone out and we've harvested our Mihuapimac, our red willow, and now I'm going to show you the process or how to make our Wepinason to use as protocol for offering for either elder protocol or a ceremony protocol. But even further, with those protocol offerings, there are different teachings because each of the colors represents a different teaching or a different ceremony. So that's a little further studies. So, like I was mentioning, contemporary how we go about doing protocol for an elder or a ceremony holder or somebody with a knowledge keeper, how we'd go about requesting either teachings or a ceremony or a song or a dance. We would normally offer our Wepinason and our sistema. So we've got our tobacco here uh, and our 1 meter by 1 meter cloth prints. So this is the contemporary Wepinason. This is the offerings that I'd give. Now with the teachings, each color that you're using represents a different ask, or each color is specially used asking for certain things traditionally. So if I were asking for ceremony, normally with something like a sweat lodge ceremony, I would take all four colors. So I've got my white, my yellow, my red, and my blue. And each one of these represents the four directions as well. And there are many teachings, further teachings about those four directions and the four colors. So we have the white to the north, yellow to the east, red to the south, and blue to the west. But again, there's further teachings with those. However, for what we're wanting to learn right now about the Wepinason, uh, we're using the situation where we're going out and we're asking an elder for a teaching. So we're not asking for a ceremony per se, we're asking an elder for a teaching. So once you learn more about the four directions and the four colors, contemporary style, red out of the south represents a teaching or a legend or or knowledge. So red would represent knowledge. In this case, I would go to the elder and I would present them with my tobacco and my red cloth and ask them for teaching. So if I'm asking for teachings about the seven grandfather teachings, I would present them first with my red print, my red Wepinason, and my sistema, my tobacco, and I would humbly ask them. So I would say, I'm humbly asking for knowledge about the seven grandfather teachings, and I would present them my my Wepinason and my tobacco. But as I mentioned, our elders are really stressing that we need to go back to pre-contact practices where we used our Wepinason, our traditional Wepinason, which came from the binding and tying of our Mihuahpimak, our red willow. So our red willow ties. And those looked like this because with our red willow ties, each red willow that we have on here represents one of the seven grandfather teachings, which are pretty common. They differ a little bit from nation to nation and tribe to tribe, but for the most part, they are very, very similar. But we all have the seven grandfather teachings. With the teachings that I was taught and that were passed to me, the teachings are, of course, the first one love, truth, honesty, respect, wisdom, bravery, and which one did I miss? Humility. So those are the seven grandfather teachings that were passed down to me within my Nihio, my Cree upbringing. So each one of those willows represents one of the grandfather teachings. And here you see the binding is of a white color. So that would coincide with the contemporary practice of using a white cloth. If I was asking for a ceremony, I would pre-contact, I would have presented a white cordage with my Wepinason, representing I am asking for a ceremony. So it would be white in color with my Wepinason, with the seven uh, willows tied together and bound in that manner. So I'm going to show you how to make one of these now. So we've gone out and we've picked our Mihuahpimak, our red willow. So once we've got them, we want to be using about one hand width. So we don't need very much. So I'm measure using my hand as my measure, and that's one hand. So that's where I would cut my willow, and I would end up with a piece just as wide as my hand. So the big thing that our elders are talking about with these, with the going back to using our traditional Wepinason, is that it's much more meaningful when we do it in this traditional manner because it actually takes work. You have to go out to the bush and you have to know what you're looking for and you have to know where to find our red willow. And once you do find it, you have to take the time to give your protocol and give thanks to the plant that we're using, just the way I showed you when we were out in the bush, when we were harvesting this red willow. I said my prayer, I gave my tobacco offering because I'm going to be using it for special reasons. So after I've done that, I've got to still do further work and preparation by measuring them and cutting them to the proper length, making sure I have my seven and then binding them together. All of this process takes time. And our elders tell us that no matter what we're doing, if we do it in a good way, in a traditional way, every time we're doing it, we're sort of reliving the first time we did that, whether it was with our Muslim, our kokum, our grandparents, our parents, or some other elder or knowledge keeper. We're reliving that memory, we're reliving the conversation we had, but we're reliving that experience in a good way each time that we do it. So all of that good energy and good thoughts as we're doing and going through the process is going into this anything that we're doing. So in this case, all of the good memories and good intentions and good thoughts that we're doing, that we're thinking as we're harvesting the red willow, goes into there. So it's all filled with positive, all of that positive energy. So, in doing that, it not only puts positive energy into whatever I'm making or whatever I'm preparing, but it also serves to remind us and keep our memories fresh so that we're never forgetting. So, continuing to do these processes as well, when we do present it to an elder, knowledge keeper, or ceremony holder, it shows more meaning because it's something that we've done personally and we had to put some thought and some work into doing it. Our elders teach us, our elders, they teach us that when we're going out and getting these prints to use as offerings or as protocol, we lose all of that. We lose all of those memories. We lose all of those good thoughts. We lose all of that good stuff that we'd normally put into a Wepinason or into an offering because we're not really doing any work. We just quickly go to the fabric store or to Walmart or somewhere and we pick these up. There's really no thought. There's really no actions going into it. It's really kind of meaningless. So we're being taught that when we present them as protocol, we've lost all of that meaning and all of that personality that we put into those wipanasan or those offerings, and it no longer has that special meaning. Uh, so our elders are really saying we really need to go back to those truly traditional or pre-contact practices. So I'm going to show you how to make the traditional wipanasan. So there were some things that I need first. So of course I've always got my ribbons of different colors. In this case, like I said, we'll go with the idea that I'm going to be going to an elder and asking for teachings about the seven grandfather teachings. So the seven grandfather teachings is knowledge. So of course I use the cordage that represent knowledge. So red represents knowledge. So I'm going to be using the red cordage. So with the cordage, I would normally use, say, from my elbow length to the top of my finger, or even somewhere around my thumb area, for to put one uh, how long I'd want it to be. But remember, I'm going to be doubling this, so I'm going to take two. I've just made a loop here. I'm going to go around my thumb to my elbow, measure it out. That's where I'm going to cut it. So I need two of these. So I'm going to get the second one, measure the same exact length. Cut that there. So now I've got my two ribbons of the same length. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to sort of cross them together in the center. So I'm going to bring this up to and this one I'm going to bring to its side like this. So I've got that, they're just sort of looped together. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go about the length of my fingers, and on each of the sides, so see this is a separate side, the length of my fingers, I'm just going to tie a knot there. So that'll be the top of my Wepinasan. So again, I'm going to measure so the other side's exactly the same. So again, you could see how it's looped here. So you should be able to see this is one of my ribbon. Length of my four fingers, I'm going to again measure that so it's even. Four fingers, hold it there, mark it. I'm going to make a tie there. One knot so that they're the same length. And I'm just going to sort of measure them so that my knots are sort of at the same spot. All right, so now you see I've got that sort of two loops hooked together, one knot like so. So I've got my knots here and then my openings here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay those down, take my 7 I've taken and I've measured one hand length or 4 fingers wide for my 7 willows. So I've got my ribbon here now. So the first one I'm going to take and I'm just going to sort of see how they fit together because of course sometimes we make some a little longer or a little shorter than the others. So I'm just going to sort of measure them so they're sort of going to be sitting even. Any of them that stick out where I've cut the branches, I'll just try and level those off so it'll sit as close to the other willows as possible. All right, so I'm going to take my first willow and I'm going to lay it against that first knot that I made. So you see here how I've got them. So I've got my first knot here and I'm just putting that first willow sort of just rough measuring where it's going to sit on that Wepinason tie. So now I'm going to take my ribbon on one side and I'm just going to tie it in one knot, just a regular one knot. So I've got it tied in one knot there. Now I'm going to sort of even it out so my knot is sitting on the bottom. So you'll see this is the top. I'm going to pull my knot so it's on the bottom, nice and tight. Then I'm going to do the same to the other side with the other ribbon. So I'm going to open that up, put my willow in there, and tie again one knot nice and tight. And I'm going to try and place it so it's in the bottom. So I've got that sort of thing where my first willow is tied one knot here, one knot here. And I'm just going to go again with the next one, another knot. So again, this is one of the grandfather teachings. So I'd put love, then I'd go next, uh, truth. I'm just going to take my truth willow, place it parallel alongside the first one, and prepare to tie again, just one knot. So I've got one knot there. Do the other side. One knot there. And again, I'm just going to tighten it a little and kind of put that my bottom knot so it's right in the bottom, not off to the side or anything. Just taking the time to straighten it out. So now I've got two of them there. So I'd go with my next, and again lay that in place, ready to tie. And tie that again. One knot. And again, I just continue the process until I've got all 7 willows tied. So even while you're doing any kind of work like this, you're constantly thinking and either thinking about things that are going on in your life right now, or like I said, going back to when you were taught how to make one of these, going back to them, reliving that memory, the conversation, the voice of whoever was teaching you, the area you were at, remembering it. But it's all good things going into this. The good energy is going into my Wepinason. So I've got 5 on here now, and I'm just even taking care to even them out as I'm tying them, just so it's not sitting all over the place and all crooked. So I've got 6. And again, as with anything, first time you do it, it might be a little hard or a little might not look perfect, but it does take, once you do make enough of these, you can make them fairly quickly. If you need, say, if you're using them to go into the sweat lodge or any other ceremony, and you're taking all 4. Of course, you'd make 4 of these, one of each of the 4 colors. All right, so I've tied my 7th one on there, and I'm just going to quickly tighten that last one. Now with the last one, I'm going to be putting 2 knots in there. So I'm at my last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm going to put a second knot in there, just so it's not going to come apart. And then I'm just going to pull my ribbon straight down. Again with the other side, second knot, 2 knots in the last one, just to hold it in place. So now I've got my my red Wepinason. So I just even it out a little. So now with this red cordage on my Wepinason, or my offering, I would use that. I would take my tobacco, my sistema, and my red Wepinason or offering, and then I would go to my elder, and then I would ask what it is I'm looking for with them. So I would take this to my elder, and in this case, we're asking for 7 grandfather teachings. And I would tell the elder, I am humbly asking for you to teach me about the 7 grandfather teachings. Then I would give them the offering of the red Wepinason for the knowledge, and my tobacco as the sacred plant that we commonly give along with our Wepinason. So again, our Wepinason or offering is in a traditional manner and made in a good way, with actually having to do a bit of work and put a little bit of thought into it and a bit of ourselves into it. So that's how we make our traditional protocol offering, our pre-contact protocol offering. And like I said, our elders are really asking that we revive our traditional practices, our pre-contact practices. So I hope you've learned something new today. I hope you take this knowledge now and use it in a practical way, and honor all of our ancestors and their teachings, and help us in reviving some of our traditional Nihiawiwin, or our traditional Cree ways. And I thank you for taking the time to learn about this, and I hope that you put it into practice. Kinanaskumten, I am grateful and my heart is lifted. Thank you.